Welcome to the Empowered Women Life Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bashford. This podcast is for every woman who has ever felt limited by her past, silenced by trauma, or held back by society's expectations. Each week, we will share powerful stories, expert insights, and practical tools to help you become the leader of your own life. And I have the pleasure of interviewing Ryan Harland, or rather not interview, I'm chatting with Ryan. He's a mental health advocate and author of Riding the Storm. I met Ryan through a post about men's suicide on LinkedIn. Now, as most of you know, I'm very much about bringing the masculine and feminine together, and for women to be more aware of the men's issues and problems, because we hear so much about women that we forget that men exist at times. So Ryan, welcome to the podcast. Please introduce yourself and share a bit about your story.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me, Karen. It's such a pleasure and giving me this opportunity to share my story. Like you said, I'm Ryan Harland, author of Riding the Storm. I share my life of trauma I suffered as a child, of sexual abuse, how I suffered with mental health and the effects it had on me growing up, and the decisions I made in life. And like we've mentioned before, the self-sabotage that I did many times in my life because I thought I didn't deserve any happiness in the world at all. And that's why I do that. So, and to show people how I've overcome that to be the person I am now, and to prove to people it doesn't matter what age you are, what you've been through, you can turn it around, make the right choices in life, and have a more positive outlook for the rest of your life.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I personally would like to know, as a child, how you actually managed to handle what was happening to you, because obviously we are aware of sexual abuse and such, but we don't often hear from a child's perspective what it's really like to be going through such a situation. And I ask if you're willing to share simply because perhaps then it will give a better understanding of, if a child says something, instead of perhaps dismissing it, they're saying something for a reason rather than just, because obviously as children we're told, oh no, that's not true, or something like that, or don't create, you're lying and things like that, simply because that's how, as adults, sometimes we have to deal with things ourselves. So your insights, as I say, if you're willing to share, would be absolutely fantastic.
Of course, I'm more than willing, because I believe that being open and honest and 100% myself, so if I hold anything back, then I'm basically trying to sell a product that I don't fully believe in, if that makes sense. It was me and my brother, both were sexually abused by our own, I say this once, father. In my book, and I refer to him as sperm donor, or SD, because that's all he ever was. It was hard, to be honest, I guess, because it was all learned behaviour from a young age between us. My brother was abused between the age of 5 and 15. I was about 16 when it happened to me, but before that, our learned behaviour was to do whatever he wanted to keep him happy, because he was a violent man. He used to beat the hell out of my mum, verbally, physically, mentally, growing up. It was like a Jekyll and Hyde, basically, type of person, because when anyone else around our house, it was a complete different person. It was all smiley, friendly. So I just assumed for a long time that that's what every household was like. If I went around my mate's house, it's all nice and jolly and that, and I just assumed as soon as I left, all hell would break loose and the mum would get kicked the crap out by the dad. Obviously, growing up, I realised after a while that wasn't the case. My mum left him when I was 11 and my brother was 15 at the time, so that kind of made sense that his abuse stopped at that point. But I still went to go and see him at the weekends for two reasons. One, because my friends were still over there, and two, that I didn't want mum getting any crap from him. So I thought if one of us goes and sees him, it minimises the damage. Obviously, he didn't, because he still caused a hell over the years. And then, like I said, I was 16, 17 when I went round to his flat the last time, and he just pushed me onto the sofa and started doing things, and I just froze. People say to me, oh, well, you 16, 17, you should have known better. You were stronger. You could have fought him off. I wish I had, but like I said, it was learned behaviour. I was always scared of the man, even when I was like a big, strong chap myself. I'm like 6'4" now. I was probably bigger and stronger than him, but I was always that little child around him. It's that manipulation, it's that control, it's that domination. They're so opportunist and manipulative. They're the vilest of all people, and they just prey on any victim by controlling them first to get into the position that they want, and then they take advantage. And that's what obviously our lives for a good few years, especially my brother between the age of 5 and 15. No, but I didn't know that at the time. We didn't find out about brother Kev for years later, because when it happened to me, I thought that no one's going to believe me. Who's going to believe? This is going back into the late 80s, early 90s, that it wasn't spoke about then. So I thought, who's going to believe in this bloke's supposed to protect me? If I went to my mum, even though she hated him, would the things got done? So I just kept quiet for years, and that's the regret that I have for not speaking up sooner.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you've been through what you went through. Obviously, nobody would ever want that in any child, whether it's a 5-year-old or a 16, 17-year-old. Nobody should ever have to go through that. The one thing I think stood out for me is the fact that, as you say, it was like he's this person that basically, as a father, we want love from. And love is demonstrated in different ways. Obviously, some is absolutely beautiful. Others, like your experience, is horrendous. But it's what we know. And because that is what we know, we don't think to question it. And even if we do question it, as you say, they have created such an emotional response to it that we automatically believe that if we did speak up, we wouldn't be believed. So once you realized that it wasn't normal, and I say that because regretfully, as children, we accept so much as being normal. How did you then start to handle it yourself? Because at 16, 17, you're still learning, still maturing within yourself. So that was a big thing for you to have to deal with.
It messed me up for a long time afterwards. I kept quiet. I went within myself. All my friends were going out about 18, 17, 18, drinking that. I couldn't leave the house. I used to be scared to go to school because for some reason I thought everyone wanted to beat me up. So I used to fake being ill, or if I went in, I used to stay behind and after clubs so I didn't have to walk out with other kids and things like that. And that went on for a few years. And then I kind of flipped it and went the complete opposite way. I started drinking, dating other women. So I went from one extreme to the other. And that went on till I was about 25 when I was due to marry my first wife. And that's when I spoke up for the very first time. I hadn't told anyone before that, because I thought, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this woman, I'm going to lay my cards on the table, be open, let's go into this marriage 100%. And that's what I did. So it was a good 10 years after it happened before I told anyone for the first time. I kind of hid it and kind of, sorry,
no, you carry on.
I kind of hid it and put a bravado on, either go within myself or show the world that nothing touched me. You know, I'm a ladies' man. I could do this, I can do that. You know, but I wasn't.
How did that make you feel when you opened up?
I was nervous as hell at first, because them old thoughts were, is she going to believe me? You know, is she going to call the marriage off? You know, but I felt relieved after saying it for the first time, because before then I kind of questioned it in my head. You know, did it ever happen, or did I ask for it? Did I do this? Did I do that? Do you know what I mean? Instead of channeling it in the right way and say, no, you was wrong for doing that, I put all the pressure and blame it on myself. So without even realizing that, all the guilt that he should have had was all on me. So yeah, when I spoke for the first time, I was relieved to get it out and to actually verbalize it. But it was a hard thing to do. I had to take some big, deep breaths before that.
How was her response?
Shock. Just gave me a cuddle and said, because we was living at my mum's house at that time, and she said, "You have to tell your mum." So we went downstairs and told my mum, and straight away she blamed herself. I was like, "Mum, no," because it was round his flat. You wasn't living with him at the time. And she goes, "Well, we better let Kev know," because he'd moved. My brother Kev, who was 4 years older than me, moved to London when he was 18. So we rung him, and that's when we found out about him between the age of 5 and 15. And Kev's words to me, and I'll never forget it. I've said this so many times, and it still haunts me, that I let it happen to me, so it didn't happen to you. It's like he put himself in the fire line for 10 years to protect me. And I felt like he'd gone through all that hell for nothing, because, excuse the language, the bastard still got me. Yeah.
That's a big responsibility to pass on to you, though, isn't it? Telling you something like that.
Yeah. I wish he never said that, because it kind of made me feel guilty now. I don't think he meant it in that way, but yeah, that messed me up as well for a long time. I felt like, you know, damn, you went through that and I've just ruined it. But
then again, any abuser like that is it's their choice. I'm trying to find the words I want. It's their choice to behave that way.
Yeah.
It's not the child's responsibility. It's not something a child would choose. Even at 15, 16, you wouldn't have chosen that at all. And as you say, you could have quite easily, being that big and strong, you could have easily stopped him. But at the end of the day, you are still his child. He is the one that is supposed to show you what's right or wrong and to show you love. So how did it impact you mentally?
It messed me up. It messed me up. It made me question my own sexuality for a while, because I thought, you know, is that what I'm supposed to be? Because I knew my brother was gay, and I just thought, am I supposed to be gay as well? Do you know what I mean? You know, because these things that happened, I thought, is that supposed to be my line, my life? But it wasn't. But yeah, it messed me up that way. It messed me up socially, like I said, because I went within myself for a while, and I was very angry as a person internally, and at home I used to smack this crap out of pillows and doors and that, because I just didn't know how to deal with all them emotions, them thoughts and things like that. So that's how I dealt with it for a while. Then it turned into self-harm. I used to hit myself for many years because I didn't know the words to say it. So I thought that's the only way I can do it, and it didn't help.
So you got married.
Yes.
How did your relationship with your wife go?
Um, to be honest, we should have never got married in the first place. We wasn't right for each other, but I think she was the first one to show me that kind of love that she's older than me. So because she said, oh, I want to get married, have kids and that, I think that's what I've always wanted. So I lapped it up, and that then we had our first child, and then we was arguing a lot, but like couples do. And then my whole world fell apart in 2007. That my brother passed away at the age of 33, and that kind of messed my whole life up. We've gone on to have a second child, then with loads of other things, trying to get SD done, because we spoke to the police in the end after years. Just before Kev passed, we both spoke to police, and then in 2008, SD passed away with a brain tumour just as he was going for court, and that was it. I went and had an affair that ruined my first marriage. Between 2008 and 2017, I must have slept with over 100 women, drink, drugs, self-sabotage, everything, every part of my life. I just didn't care who I was hurting. I didn't go out purposely to hurt people, but I was a bit blasé with it. I just so blinking. I just needed to destroy everything that was in my life, and I did for a long time.
But they say hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And it's very, very true. You don't
Mhm.
choose to hurt, but you're
No.
hurting so deeply that you, just as you say, you don't know how to handle it yourself. So in some way or shape, you're actually trying to release all these emotions, but at the same time, you're punishing yourself for
Yeah.
feeling what you're feeling, hence behaviors and such. Obviously, with hindsight, you could have done so many things different.
Mm.
When your sperm donor, as you call him, died, there was obviously anger because he had escaped. What else did you feel?
Guilt, because after Kev passing away at such a young age, between then and SD passing, I wanted justice, not for me, but for Kev. And obviously going through the police and that, and obviously with Kev's statement alone, he was looking at 10, 15 years minimum just on his, let alone mine and other statements and people they could have got, because by that time the law had changed that they could get evidence from other cases that he'd been involved in and capital witnesses as that. So we was being on a big case. I just wanted some justice. I didn't care about me at the time. I just focused on getting justice from my brother. And then obviously when he passed away, I just felt so empty. I just thought, well, what was the point in both of us going through all that hell? It just felt like it was for nothing, and he got away with it. I know people say to me, we didn't get away with it. No, because he's not around anymore to hurt anyone else. But he should have got some punishment. I believe so, and he didn't.
And you're carrying the... I think in some ways you're blaming yourself because you didn't go earlier.
Yeah. I did for a long time. I punished myself. I think, you know, that's why I had the affair and things like that. You know, I just hit that self-destruct button. And I know that now, and this is why I channel everything into positivity to help other people so they don't end up going as far down that road as me. You know, they can get there, get to where I am now a lot sooner, or notice things in other people. I think, well, you know, they might be able to spot signs, so give other people the opportunity to speak up and things like that. So I'm lucky in that respect that I've managed to turn it around. But in hindsight, yeah, I wish I spoke up a lot sooner. Then we could have got justice, and Kev could have been around for a while, and he would have gone to SD would have gone to prison and things like that. But you can't change the past, can you?
No.
You can only learn from it.
Question I'm probably going to ask you, you might not want to answer. You might not even agree with it. Have you ever forgiven yourself?
Yes. Only the last few years, when I met my now second wife, because when I met her, I found what true love is. I used to think true love was sexual, and now this is 100% pure love. So with her love for me, I've learned to forgive everything I've done, because you can't go back and change what you've done. You can learn from it, but you've got to forgive yourself that you can't go back and change it. But what you can do is you can define who you are going to be from now onwards. And that's what I think forgiveness really is. Because I used to think forgiveness was actually forgiving someone else for their actions, but that's not the only way. Like I said, if you can forgive yourself and think, right, you can't go back and change it, but as long as you don't make them same mistakes again, then you're a better person for it.
And the thing about forgiveness is I'm very much aware of is the person who hurt you chose to do so. And you can't change that at all. And where you've hurt somebody else, basically you've only hurt them because of what was going on within yourself. And in forgiving yourself, you're actually releasing the energy, because obviously there is an energetic connection with everyone you come in contact with. In releasing yourself and forgiving yourself, you're actually enabling them to release the energy of their connection with you. So consequently, they might find that even if they're not aware of the forgiveness by you, you're actually enabling them to have a better life. So I suppose my burning question, and I'm not sure why I'm asking this, and I'm not even sure how to word it, is if somebody come to you and said to you, I've experienced sexual abuse as a child, and I feel that unfortunately I have a tendency to do the same to my children, what would you say?
In honesty, I tell them that's a poor excuse for doing what you're doing to your kids if that's what happened to you. I tell you why, because when SD was arrested for what he'd done to me and my brother, he tried to tell them that my granddad done it to him. And that ruined my image of my granddad for a while. But the police did say to me that a lot of them people say that it happened to him to try and get a more lenient, sympathetic uh, uh,
Sentence.
from the police, sentence and things like that. And also I say to him as well, you know how much that messed you up. So why would you want to go and do that to your loved ones, your own flesh and blood? I would. It makes me physically sick when people say that. It's just my opinion. But
No,
I just,
appreciate that.
I feel physically sick by people saying that it happened to me, so that's why I'm doing it to the next in the line. I think that's a poor excuse because, like I said, you know how much that messes with you and changes your whole life. So why would you want to go and put that on someone else?
But as you say, it's to an extent, it's a program.
Yes, but you got a choice at the end of the day. Do you want to carry on that program and to send it further down the line, or do you want to be that one who breaks that program and makes that change and becomes the bigger and better person and say, no, it's not going from generation to generation, whatever, or family business, as someone said to me before. I know that was only joking, but it was quite a jokey way of looking at it. But in all seriousness, it kind of is. If you're abused by your own flesh and blood and you're going to do the same to your own flesh and blood, then you've got a choice at the end of the day. And I feel strongly against that. Like I said, it's only my opinion, and some people will have a more different way of looking at it. But you either break that chain, or you let someone else deal with it further along. And I just feel that you should be the one to break that chain.
I asked that question simply because obviously from my own history, I know that my parents experienced the lack of love the same as I shared earlier with you, that they didn't know how to tell me they loved me or to actually hug me. And that was what had happened to both of them from their own families. But obviously sexual abuse is something entirely different, because that is something you're very much aware of what you're doing, where obviously my parents weren't aware that they were just following the family history or examples. And I totally agree with you. It has to stop somewhere. And the fact that they are even continuing it with their own children means that there's somewhere along the line they haven't learnt to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. So as an adult now, what have you learnt from your experiences?
I've learnt that everyone goes through their own journeys in life. No one is any different to or any more important than anyone else is. We all deal with things in our own way. We all face trauma. No one's better or worse than anyone else. I've also learned that I've turned into the most sympathetic person, and I can see darkness behind someone's eyes quicker than they can see it themselves sometimes. I can see the hurt behind someone's smile, and that's a gift and a curse sometimes as well, because I can see it in others, but a lot of people can't see it in me when I'm having a bad day, and that's when I feel alone. But I'd rather be the person I am now than the person I might have been if I hadn't gone through them things. I love doing this. I love going around sharing my story and that, because it helps me deal with it, even just talking about it, and to know that I can help. If I help one person, that's going to make a huge difference. Because I put a post up the other day. It's not just helping that one person. If you help that one person feel a little bit better themselves, as a ripple effect, so they're a bit better for their loved ones, and they think, oh, that's nice, so they're a bit better for their work colleagues, and so on. It's a ripple effect. So I believe in that. There, you get what you put into this world. If you want to get love, you put love into it. If you want happiness, you put happiness into it. And I just don't want anyone to feel alone in this world. I want everyone to feel like they can say how they feel, and without being ridiculed or rejected or shunned, or social stigma telling someone that you can't speak because you're male, or things like that. I just want a better world in a certain respects, and just help as many people and meet loads of people. The amount of people I've met whilst on this journey from all over the world is so amazing. I get to speak to you and others. I would never have done that ever, and that's a beautiful thing. So I just feel like I'm blessed in a way to have been through that, to be the person I am now.
And I'm grateful that you're willing to share, because you have given me insights into a child's perspective of what it's like and the damage it can do. Obviously, we all have our own stories, and we all can see things from our own way of seeing things. So it's good to hear the impact that somebody else's experiences have had. And as you say, it creates a ripple effect, because every time you and I speak about anything like this, it can improve somebody else's life, because maybe somebody listening can think, actually, it's not my fault, or I'm not to blame, or it's okay not to be okay, as the saying goes, because of what you've been through. So, yes, I can't thank you enough for being so open and honest about such a sensitive experience, because it's definitely left a mark, that's for sure. And yeah, go on. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. I don't look at it as a sad story anymore, or I'm looking for sympathy, or well done and things like that. I just, because I've been there, done that. That's not what I'm looking for now. I'm just looking to help and inspire others.
And you're doing a good job.
I struggle with compliments, so that's one thing I'm learning. That's the last thing I've got to learn in life, to accept a compliment. It just don't feel right. I can give them, and boy, do I give them. But when I receive them, I'm like, ugh. But thank you. Yeah, it's just my life. I don't look at it in any other way.
But you're doing an amazing job, because you're being willing to share something that a lot of people have been through and still can't talk about themselves. So in sharing what you've shared, potentially you've allowed somebody to actually state to themselves, this is what's happened to me. Maybe I can do something about it. And that is worth its weight in gold, I'm sure. So
Oh,
thank
definitely.
you. Thank you so much, Ryan, for sharing. I will share your links, so if people want to reach out to you, or if anyone wants to have you as a speaker or anything like that, because I do know you are a motivational speaker. So thank you for your time. I've really appreciated speaking with you and learning from you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Karen. It's been a pleasure.